welcome. We will begin with a round of applause for our fabulous Vietnam and Korean War veterans who have joined us today. And my name is Susan Bysiewicz. I have the great privilege of serving as Lieutenant Governor alongside Governor Ned Lamont. And I'd like to welcome you to Groton's Korea and Vietnam era veteran ceremony. It's a great honor to be here with so many Americans who bravely answered their country's call to duty. And we will begin by inviting the Town of Groton Police Department to post the colors. So if you are able to please stand, we'd ask that you do that for the posting of the colors, the national anthem, and the Pledge of Allegiance. And I'd now like to invite the Fitch Falcon Chamber Choir, led by Ms. Sandra Hall, to sing our country's national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you so much to the Fitch Chamber Choir, and I will invite Town Councilor Bruce Jones to come and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much, and please do be seated. I want to take a moment to say thank you to the town of Groton Mayor Rachel Franco, to the town manager John Burt, City of Groton Mayor Keith Hedrick, and everyone at the Groton Town Hall that made this possible. You know, some people think that there's a magic list in Hartford or in Washington, D.C. of everyone who has served in our United States military. That just doesn't exist in either place. Actually, the best list of those who serve lives in every town hall across the state of Connecticut, because that's where you file your DD 214 discharge papers for your property tax exemption. And so we want to say thank you to the town and city of Groton for finding all of you and for bringing us all together. And as you can see, Groton city and town are incredibly patriotic places, and it's such an honor to be here with all of you. Now, a gentleman asked me earlier today, well, how did you come to do this? And it started in 2008, and I heard this statistic that we were losing 1,500 World War II veterans every day, and I thought, we should do something to say thank you to our greatest generation before it was too late. So I started on a journey of going town to town, and I visited 140 towns in Connecticut between 2008 and 2010 to recognize our World War II veterans. And I had the great pleasure of meeting more than 15,000 of our greatest generation, and from almost every town across the state. And along the way, I learned that many of our World War II veterans, especially those that served at the later end of World War II, also served in Korea. So then we began a journey to honor and recognize Korean War veterans. And we've done that in 115 towns, and we have traveled to 108 towns to recognize and welcome home our Vietnam veterans. Now, the thing about the Korean War and the Vietnam War is that they're similar in two ways, and maybe you wouldn't think about it at first, but in both instances, when our soldiers returned home from both places, they did not receive the thanks, the respect, and the celebration that they deserved. The Korean War was a little different than World War II, because when our soldiers served in Korea, the war was never officially declared, and it was never officially ended. So when our soldiers came home, there weren't the ticker tape parades that we saw after World War II. And of course, when our soldiers returned from Vietnam, sadly, they were treated many times in very disrespectful ways. They were greeted by protesters, they were called unspeakable names, they were spat upon. And that was because, unfortunately, our country had not learned a very important lesson. And that lesson is, no matter what we might think of a particular conflict or the leaders that send our troops there, we must always, always support and take care of our veterans. And so I want to say thank you to our Vietnam veterans for teaching us that very important lesson. And you know, the other similarity between our Korean veterans and our Vietnam veterans is they've both faced incredibly difficult situations. In Korea, there were some extremely cold weather and record snowfalls. And unfortunately, our American soldiers were not equipped with the clothing and the equipment that they needed for prolonged sub-zero temperatures and a lot of snow. And of course, our Vietnam veterans faced very intense urban combat, stifling heat, exposure to toxic chemicals like Agent Orange, monsoon rains, and other very difficult conditions. And the other similarity I think that our Korean and our Vietnam veterans share is, despite all of those challenges that I described, whether they were physical or psychological, you all came back to this beautiful community, raised wonderful families, lived very productive lives, and you never stopped serving. You may have stopped serving in our United States military, but you continued to serve this community and our state in so many ways, whether it was by participating in a veterans organization, whether it was by volunteering in soup kitchens or running for local office. When I go to ceremonies like these and I see Vietnam veterans, I see the people who make things happen in their communities, people who are leading and people who are continuing to serve long after they left the military. And so we are here today to say thank you and welcome home to our Korean veterans, and I believe we have two with us today, and to say welcome home to nearly 100 Vietnam veterans who did not receive the praise, the respect, and the thanks that you should have received when you returned. And I'd like to give you a quote from President Obama's 2012 Memorial Day address at the Vietnam Memorial in Washington, D.C. And he said this: "When you returned home, you looked after one another. You cared for one another. People weren't talking about PTSD at the time, but you understood it, and you were there for each other. And just as importantly, you didn't just take care of your own, you cared for those that followed. You made it your mission to make sure that today's troops get the respect and support that all too often you did not receive." And so we thank you for your continuing advocacy and for your service to our country. I think it's important also that we recognize our Korean veterans. We lost 36,940 Americans in the United States, and we had over 6,000 people missing in action and prisoners of war. And today we remember the 326 people from Connecticut who gave their lives in the Korean War. And we note that every day in America, 600 of our Korean War veterans are passing away every day. We also remember the 58,000 Americans who gave their lives during the Vietnam War. Those names are on that beautiful granite memorial in Washington, D.C., and you should see it if you haven't. It's absolutely beautiful. We'll also remember today the 612 people from Connecticut who lost their lives in Vietnam. And there were 5 Groton residents who lost their lives there. Please join me in recognizing Johnny Lee Blount Jr., William Paul Cohn Jr., Carl Joseph LaValle, Richard Frederick Links, and Michael John Ryan. And from Mystic, there were 4 residents who lost their lives. Their names are Donald Lee Brayman, Charles Edwin Bray Jr., Peter Dean Hesford, and Howard Clinton Robinson. And I think what we're doing here today is, in one way, we're addressing a long overdue problem, and that is to say welcome home to our Vietnam veterans. And it's also to acknowledge and say thank you to them, because just as we are losing so many Korean veterans every day, it's estimated by our United States Department of Veterans Affairs that we are losing 530 Vietnam veterans every day in our country. And so today we want to say thank you to both our Korean veterans and our Vietnam veterans for your service to our country, and thank you for your continuing service to our state and this beautiful community. Welcome home. God bless you. God bless our beautiful state and our great country. Thank you so much. We are very lucky to have Commissioner Ronald Welch, and he is the person that the Governor Lamont and I have entrusted to take care of the 140,000 United States military veterans that live in our beautiful state. And so I'd like to bring up Commissioner Welch to the podium.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much, Lieutenant Governor Bysiewicz. Thank you again for serving and presiding over the Hall of Fame last Thursday evening in Rocky Hill. We had about 300 in attendance. We were able to recognize 14 outstanding veterans, and she did a wonderful job presiding over that. And also thank you for taking the time out of your extremely busy schedule today to recognize the service and sacrifice of our veterans and our families that join us. To Mayor Franco and to State Representative Bumgardner, thank you so much for being here in your time also. And to your council member for joining us. To those of you that served in Korea or supported operations in Korea or served in Vietnam or supported operations there, welcome home. These are the words you should have heard when you first finished your time in service or stepped back on American soil after your tour. History shows us that didn't happen, so that's really sad. As the Lieutenant Governor said, we want to make sure you're recognized appropriately, and we welcome you home. My oldest son, Steve, and I are combat vets of Afghanistan. We weren't old enough, obviously, to go to Vietnam, but the reason that we joined the military is because of all of you. You served as our mentors, as our heroes, and as our friends. As young kids, my friends and I ran around the woods about 5 miles from here. Our two favorite hangouts or locations were Whittle's Farm and the gravel pit there and the conveyor belt, jumping off of that, and the big pond at Whittle's Farm. And off of Larchmont Terrace, where I originally grew up until I was about 10 or 11, we built foxholes, climbed trees, climbed the hills, crossed the streams and swamps. We pretended to be all of you. We pretended to be soldiers and sailors and Marines and airmen, depending on what day it was. Our uniforms many times consisted of Sears and Roebuck double knee tough skin jeans that I would try to rip the knees out of. My mother wasn't too happy about that. We had jean jackets. We had slingshots that we made, Red Ryder BB guns, and Mattel M16s with grenade launchers if we were really lucky. My older brother graduated from this high school in 1975. My mom wouldn't let me go here. She said, "You're going to East Lyme," so we moved. But we listened with amazement to my Uncle Bob Welch talk about his time on the ground in Korea as a young Marine corporal. He would describe some of the rugged terrain and freezing conditions, being undermanned, not equipped properly, but still pressing on with the mission and taking care of the Marines underneath his leadership. He was awarded a Silver Star and a Purple Heart, and he struggled significantly the rest of his life after those really traumatic experiences as a young kid. We'd watch the evening news every night that we had an opportunity on that black and white TV, Walter Cronkite, to figure out what was going on in that foreign land called Vietnam. This is where Fitch and Groton and Mystic really hit home to me. Sadly, when I was 10 years old, my classmate at Northeast Elementary Schools, his name was Carlton, would lose his big brother, and Lieutenant Governor mentioned his name just a second ago, Charles Bray Jr. on the 9th of July, 1970 in Quang Nam Province. So that's when everything became real, and I had never gone to the wall until I got back from Afghanistan, and the first thing I did was look for Charles' name. In 1978, I graduated and went off right away on that challenging path to become an Army Airborne Ranger, and I would be trained by your peers, drill sergeants, airborne ranger instructors, and serve in one of the 2 Ranger battalions at the time that was led primarily by Vietnam veterans. We were never pampered. We were trained in the most extreme conditions, Cascade Mountains out in the state of Washington up to 14,000 plus feet, jungles in Panama, the Arctic in Minnesota, and the Arctic in Alaska, the desert out in Mojave in California. We did all of our missions by land, sea, and air. We were held accountable for getting the mission done, though we'd be the lone survivor, just like the Ranger Creed says. This upbringing enabled me to survive with a team of joint service members out in the highly contested eastern portion of Afghanistan from 2005 to 2006. And I would say the lessons I learned from all of you and your peers helped a lot during a 40-year military career, from private in the trenches to being able to serve as a general officer before I retired. Thank you, veterans, for that. Very difficult time for our country back in September. It was the 23rd anniversary of the longest war in our history, and I think most of you or all of you would agree it didn't end the way we thought it was going to end. And now a lot of things might be triggering you as you watch CNN or Fox with things that are going on in Ukraine and Russia and everything that just happened between Israel and the Hamas. And Iran's always, kind of poking things out there as an antagonistic element. As many of you know, after war and your military service, returning to normal life has a lot of challenges. Challenges for you, challenges for your family. Please don't isolate yourself. It's never too late to ask for help. When you close the door with a therapist, it's 100% confidential. Please take advantage of what we have with Connecticut Department of Veterans Affairs. We have 4 core missions, a 125-bed skilled care facility. We have residential for 150 plus families. We did receive some ARPA funding. We're expanding that by 46. We're almost at capacity right now, so we're really happy to be able to expand that operation. Very important for you, our Office of Advocacy and Assistance in Waterbury, Fairfield, Milford, Norwich is closest to you, and in Newington. Every June we do municipal vet representative training out in Rocky Hill on the campus, and you attended. Thank you very much, sir. Anybody else attend that training? Excellent. All right, that's why you're in the Hall of Fame, right? All right. But about 120 of your friends attended that training. We do it every year, and it gets you up to speed on the basics, how to connect local veterans with the real basic things, talking about tax benefits, local social services, transportation, health, food pantries, employment, those kinds of things. Very importantly, they know how to connect with a veteran service officer that is certified. And that's the most important person for all of you. The expansion of the PAC Act, it's added over 2 million people to be able to get benefits, especially health care. Small team of VSOs that we have, 12 around Connecticut, each one in a congressional district office, has taken care of 10,000 clients approximately. resulting in $197 million of federal money coming back to our veterans and their families. And that number's as of this morning. We have memorial services out in Rocky Hill, and down in Middletown is a cemetery. If you've never been out there, it's beautiful. It's like a mini Arlington. We're in the process of expanding our cemetery memorial services. So once again, thank you all for your service and sacrifice. Remember, welcome home. You're not alone. And bless our great state and nation. Thank you very much.
Commissioner, thank you so much. And when I approached the town of Groton to see if they would like to host this ceremony, Mayor Rachel Franco was very enthusiastic, and we really appreciate her leadership, the leadership of the council, and the help of the town manager. And Madam Mayor, would you come up, please, and say a few words? Mayor Franco.
Thank you. Hello all, and welcome home. I'm Rachel Franco, and I am the mayor of the town of Groton, and I am also a daughter of a U.S. Marine. Our community thanks you for your service. Over the past few years, our Groton Town Council has passed many initiatives recognizing you. They have implemented enhanced property tax benefits for disabled veterans, as well as discounts at golf courses and the transfer station. The council created a Veteran and War Memorial Committee, which is filled with veterans from each military branch and led by our Groton historian, Mr. Jim Streeter. The town council, led by Councilor Bruce Jones, is currently working on a Veteran Service Officer position. We believe this extremely important position will assist Groton veterans in their search to access their entitled benefits, which is no easy feat. I am proud to work with the town council as we honor veterans. Now, given this opportunity, I thought I would share a personal story, as I believe our veteran stories should never be forgotten, and I would like to honor my father. There are very few fragments of information I know from my dad's time serving in the military. My father did not speak of this time in his life. It was an unspoken taboo subject for me. Only one story would ever be shared with me. Though from pieces I've picked up and from talking with my mother, a picture is drawn that could make one cry. His experiences would impact him for the rest of his life as well as his family's. At the tender age of 17, in the mid-1960s, my father, James Gookins, enlisted and completed boot camp, and then entered the war in Vietnam. His mother signed the forms and allowed her underage youngest child to join the toughest of the tough, the U.S. Marines. In Vietnam, Jim worked in transport. He would be responsible for transporting Agent Orange in 55-gallon steel drum barrels. On one transport, he was moving a barrel from the truck. The lid came loose when the barrel fell and spilled all the contents onto my father. An extremely deadly dioxin covered his body. He was soaked in it for an extended period of time. His military medical records are emblazoned with the bold words, Agent Orange. Over his life, he suffered from numerous side effects from Agent Orange. The military acknowledged his cause of death in 2021 was due to his exposure from Agent Orange. Another detriment when serving in Vietnam were the parasites. My father became infested, which did unimaginable damage to his stomach and intestines. After he was back in the States, he would undergo many operations attempting to repair the damage that was done. More bodily damage that would forever plague him. Furthermore, my father was a ground force infantry Marine in Vietnam. His group was ambushed. They were all killed. My father and another Marine were the only ones to get out alive. He witnessed this, all while fighting for his life. It's unimaginable. Thus, PTSD set in. It was debilitating and haunted him for decades. The nightmares, the guilt, self-medication, depression, suicidal thoughts, and a lifetime of therapy. All of this is deep, dark, and life-altering. Though when I was a teenager, He told me the one and only story he would ever share with me, which I will share with you today. It may be culturally insensitive, but I think you will understand. He painted the picture. We were in the jungle. We dug a trench into the ground to rest. We were hunkered down for the night. Most of the guys were sleeping. A few were on watch. He then explained to me, they used to call the Vietnamese gooks. Now remember, my dad's last name is Gookins. He continued, while everyone was sleeping, one guy called out to my father, "Hey, Gook, you got a cigarette?" The sleeping group only heard Gook. They all jumped up and sprang into action and started shooting aimlessly into the jungle. After the shooting stopped, he said they all had a good laugh. He found this to be an amusing story, the one and only, suited to share with his young daughter. Somehow, some way, this very young Marine found his way back to the United States and was stationed at our subbase as a military police officer. After his discharge, his lifetime job as a disabled veteran was going to his never-ending VA medical appointments for all his Vietnam-inflicted mental and physical ailments. While the details of my dad's military story are unique, in general, the story is all too familiar with veterans. And I thank you for listening to this story. And as a proud daughter of a 100% permanently disabled veteran, I send a heartfelt thank you to all of you and your families. I thank you for your service, your dedication, your courage, and your sacrifices. I honor you today and every day. In my mind, you are the strongest and the toughest in our community. God bless you, God bless our community, and God bless our country. Thank you.
Wow. Thanks for telling that. Mayor, thank you so much. We are very proud to have a legislative partner who is a strong advocate for Groton, State Representative Aundre Bumgardner.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor, and it is an honor to be standing before you today. I'm just looking around this room and seeing not only so many familiar faces, but truly some amazing friends. So many folks in this room, since I was a kid, have made such a lifelong impact on me, and for that I thank you. That service that you have shown here in your civic lives obviously started somewhere, and that foundation started in your time serving our country. And to each and every one of you who served this country in Korea, in Vietnam, just know that we, as young people, salute you and thank you for your service. As Lieutenant Governor stated, you did not get the welcome home that you deserved, and it's not right. You deserved nothing but that support, and I so appreciate each and every one of your contributions to our community. We heard from our mayor today share some personal stories about how she came to be here in Groton. The story of your father finally completing his service, serving as a Marine police officer at the base. And my grandfather also served in Vietnam. He was the most important person to me, and I miss him every single day. His service ended after he served in Vietnam. It very much was a taboo subject to talk about growing up at home at the dinner table. But after he came back home from Vietnam, he went to medical school, became a pediatrician in the Navy, and his final tour of duty was the subbase. Shortly thereafter, I was born. And so many of us, I think, can relate to that story. Us finding a home here as a result of the base, as a result of the service of your parents or you to our country. And I think there's something to be said about that, that this community is a refuge for people who give back every single day, whether it's wearing our nation's uniform, whether it's volunteering in our schools, in our community, whether it's serving as a firefighter or a police officer after that military service or during that military service. Each and every one of you have contributed in so many different ways and continue to. Again, I cannot thank you enough. As your state representative, it is so critical that you receive the benefits that you deserve, and we are so lucky to have a commissioner such as Commissioner Welch at the helm at the Veterans Affairs Department at the state level. Also very fortunate to have amazing federal delegation in Congressman Courtney, Senators Blumenthal and Murphy, whose teams work day in and day out on various benefit programs, VA benefit programs that each and every one of you are entitled to, but it's all about partnerships. And that's why it is so great to hear that Groton is leading the way in potentially establishing a Veterans Affairs coordinator. So at the local level, the state level, and federal level, it's our job to take care of you. And so if you ever need anything from your local government, please reach out, and we will be prepared to connect you to those right resources. So again, thank you, Lieutenant Governor, for each year hosting these beautiful ceremonies, and most importantly, thank you to each and every veteran in this room for your service to our country, and God bless this country as well.
Okay, so the good news is that the boring political speeches are done. And now we have a chance to hear directly from our veterans. And this is always the most powerful part of our ceremonies. I know, and when I say this, then all the veterans look at me like, what? I'm gonna talk? I know, but like I said, I have visited over 100 towns, and nobody left me standing here by myself. So here's what I'm going to do, because I have the microphone, so I'm not going to make people come to the podium, but I'm going to go up this aisle and see who would like to talk, and then I'm going to come back down this aisle, and we're not going to miss anybody who would like to share where they were, what they did, maybe a little bit about what they learned, a quick story, whatever is on your mind. Trust me, everyone would love to hear. So I'm going to start over here, and you're not getting volunteered. Okay, we won't bud. All right, thank you for being the first one. Say your name, sir.
Thank you very much, and thank you for all the staff and the dignitaries that are here today that were so elegant in putting on this ceremony for all of us, the veterans from both wars. My name is Lieutenant Gregory F. Petronic. U.S. said I'm retired, and I came to Groton in 1980. I had served 10 years in the Navy. When I got here, going from E3 to an E7 to an O1, and finally finishing up as an O3. So I understand the trials and tribulations of everybody in this room, including the non-veterans. Everybody's got challenges, and I am so proud to be here in company with the rest of my colleagues and veterans of both the Korean and the Vietnam Wars. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being the first one. All right.
My name is Ed Hill, and I live in Groton, Long Point, Connecticut. In 1966, I was on an airplane flying from California out to Thailand, where I was stationed. I was in the Army Security Agency. We did order of battle networking and a lot of listening for the guys who were out in the field who had these special blasters. They'd have a radio contact that would last about 2 seconds, and it had to be caught and then forwarded. We did a lot of interesting work for an 18-year-old kid. And then once I got out of the military Army there, I joined the ranks of the students at University of Southern California. I got my degree, and then I joined the Navy for the next 32 years. And I'm a submarine supply officer. I ended up as an 05. So I appreciated the time, and thank you for telling it.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. My name is Bill Anderson, and I'm a lifelong resident of Mystic. I'm the oldest resident on Allen Street. And I was in the Navy. I enlisted in the Navy in 1968. Went to Great Lakes, and then I was stationed on the USS Waller, DD 466. I was the oldest tin can in the Atlantic Fleet. And we sailed from Norfolk, Virginia, over to, we worked out of Subic Bay in the Philippines, and my first, I guess, acquaintance with Vietnam was at a place called Phan Thiet, which was about 90 miles east of what was then Saigon. And what a lot of guys that I've talked to it was amazing how beautiful the scenery was. I had beautiful green scenery until the shooting started, and yeah, it was scary. We got through. I thank the good Lord every day that I came back alive and in one piece, because being on a destroyer is not easy. Things can go wrong, and you know, if it is an enemy action, it could be something like a flashback in the burners or something like that, or a mishap with the oil or whatever. So we thank the good Lord every day that we made it back alive and in one piece. We got the state of Connecticut at that time, though, was, when I got out of the service, we had the state of Connecticut was good to us in the fact that it gave us a $300 veterans or Vietnam veterans bonus. I got $260 because I wasn't over there for a full year, but still, it was a way of state of Connecticut saying thanks, and glad to serve. But I'm glad to be here alive in one piece. And Lieutenant Governor, I just wanted to say I heard the list. I didn't know it was heard as mentioned. Yeah, I'm getting on in years. You know, the hearing's gone. But there was a man who lived in Mystic. We grew up together. His name was Richard DeCilia. And unfortunately, he lost his life in May of 1970 during the Cambodian offensive. So I just wanted to bring that up, mention his name.
Thank you for mentioning that. Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Carmine Penza. I've been a Groton resident for 49 years. It's been tough. It's not easy. Knowing your fellow comrades who lost their lives during this confrontation. But here we are all together tonight. And we thank God for that. I was a boatswain's mate, 3rd class, in the United States Navy as a boatswain's mate. I also was a coxswain and a captain's driver. I served for 4 years, and when I got out, I joined the services of Electric Boat, General Dynamics, building submarines. And I did that for 47 years as a rigger. Tough work, but here I am today retired. And thank God for that one. So, to everybody else here, God bless you all.
My name is Darrell Rader. I'm retired U.S. Navy. I did 26 years. Like Mayor, I went in at 17 years of age, early enough to draw Korean mustering out pay from the state of Pennsylvania. The first 10 years I did was in naval aviation. I flew as a combat air crewman on single-engine propeller aircraft off of several aircraft carriers. And then while I was in B school in Memphis, I was recruited to join the submarine force, and I shifted over, and I served on Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, and Thomas Edison. And then I finished up my career. I have 26 years at the sub school right here in New London, and been here since. I should thank everybody for the help they gave us.
Thank you very much.
Excuse me. My name is Jonathan Bartlett, And mostly I just wanted to say to the Lieutenant Governor, pass it on to Governor Lamont, that they have made a very wise and great choice with Brigadier General Welch as our Veterans Affairs Director. We served together in active duty with the Connecticut Army National Guard, and late 1980s and early 1990s, I was going through a tough time in my life. And at the time, I believe he was a captain then, he kind of looked out for me and got me back on my feet. And we've been friends ever since. And congratulations on your new appointment.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, I just wanted to add to your list Johnny Fiedler, Drew Fiedler, who Drew, and he was a graduate of this high school, lost in Vietnam.
I'm Jim Streeter. I'm the historian for the town of Groton. I was anxious to hear the gentleman forward of me saying that he was in the Army Security Agency. I was in the Army Security Agency right after high school, this high school. I was assigned in Vietnam in '66. I did not see combat. However, I did see a lot of my friends who lost their lives there. And it sticks with you forever. I had the good fortune to serve our community on the town council and as mayor. And during that period of time, and I think everyone in this audience will agree, yes, we served our country and we're celebrating our service tonight, but there's others that have served since us. And while serving on the town council, we made it a priority to recognize the veterans who served and lost their lives in Iraq, Afghanistan, and all the other Persian Gulf conflicts. And therefore, what we did, we put a priority together and had a monument, but with our War and Veteran Memorial Park, to recognize those service people too. And I think it's important that we all remember them also. And I certainly appreciate their service to our country. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Franco. I was in Vietnam all of '69. And first, I'd like to say I'm sorry that the people that died can't be here, and the people that are too sick or broke or homeless can't be here. A couple of funny stories. I was trained for 7 months to be in the artillery. I'm sorry, in the infantry. I learned to shoot any weapon they had. And when I got to Vietnam, they didn't have enough people in the artillery, so they put me in the artillery, and the first time I ever saw a 105 millimeter howitzer after 7 months of infantry training. So after about 8 months, I started going deaf. I said, put me back in the field. So they stuck me in a helicopter, and the first insertion, you're supposed to jump out. You know, there's smoke and machine gun fire and everything. You're supposed to jump out when you're about 18 inches off the ground. And I jumped out when I was about 3 feet off the ground. I got a little excited, and I jumped right into a bomb crater that was about 6 feet deep, full of water. So I was up to my neck in water in my first insertion. I just wanted a little funny story because of all the sadness that can be associated with the war.
Good evening. I'm Jim Mitchell. I've been in the community of over 60 years. I went into the military. I unfortunately did not see overseas duty, but I did serve my country here in the States. And I want to commend and thank those for the service, the men and women who served our country, and the families that are represented here today. After my time in the service, I did come back and commit myself to supporting and working with military families, and I ended up as 38 years here in the school system, retiring as superintendent and especially working with military families. So I just want to thank the families that are here tonight, those who served, the men and women who are here, the children. It's really about family, and that's what we are here in Groton. So thank you for your service. God bless you, and God bless our community.
That's okay.
My name is George Finlayson. I served in Vietnam in 1967-68. But one of the things I'd like to say is thank you to the community and to the business in the area who have helped us with Veterans Stand Down. That's when we bring the homeless vets in and service them, no matter from medical, clothing, shelter, but just thank you for helping them. There's a lot of them out there that need a lot of help, and thanks to the communities like Groton who have stepped forward, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Hap Moreno. I served in Vietnam 1967 in the Central Highlands. What I really wanted to say today is how proud I am of the VA in the state of Connecticut. I've never had better health care in my life. They do. I go to Newington, and they do a tremendous job. I'm very, very happy for that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Sure.
I'll take a crack at this. My name is Paul Tranquita, class of 60, Fitch Senior High School. I got drafted. I was in a 155 howitzer battalion. I went over with an M14 and our black boots before the jungle boots route. I was lucky. I was old enough to go over early. Vietnam is spelled with two words, Vietnam, not expeditiously as one word. I don't know why that bothers me. It's easier to print that way. I went over early, I got home early. I'm sure I just want to say thank you. Long time, 60 years. I was lucky. I was short when I went over, and I'm not talking about this height. We got back, they sent us back, they rotated us on our ETS states. I went over on a troop transport, like a World War II movie, singing Elvis Presley songs on the deck. Left from Fort Lewis, Washington. I was stationed in Fort Lewis, Washington. We went down to San Francisco, got on a troop transport, and sailed underneath the Golden Gate Bridge. Unless you're in a yacht or a sailboat, you're not supposed to be looking up underneath the Golden Gate Bridge. I had a little brownie camera that I carried, and I got a lot of things running through my mind. The draft. Nobody's got any skin in the game anymore. We'll never be the same country. I could go on, but I don't want to keep everybody.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
I just want to say my name is Carmine Crispino. I'm very, very proud to be sitting here among these brave soldiers. But I have to say a word about the 58,000 Americans that didn't make it home. Stand tall, men. You're with God now. The horrors are over. You're with love and you're with peace. God bless your souls today and forever. Amen.
Name's Ken Clipon. I joined the service in '62. I never had hand-to-hand combat. Closest I got to Vietnam was we dropped off special forces in the middle of the night. People that we grew to know over a few days when we were at sea with them. We never knew what happened to them. But I retired 21 years service, and I want to say thank you to all the females and the spouses that held down the home fort while we were away. Thank you.
Good point.
Hello, my name is Noreen Rao, Master Sergeant, retired from the Air Force in 1967. I joined the service from Honolulu, Hawaii. I was 19 years old. I retired in 1989. I was a medic at Lackland Air Force Base, Texas, in San Antonio, Texas. I was also a training instructor for 2 years, a basic military training instructor from 73 to 75. I retired, like I say, in 1989 as a medic. I didn't go to Vietnam, but I did see a lot of things coming back from Vietnam. I just want to thank everybody here tonight, and I want to thank all the veterans and their families in the state of Connecticut. Good job.
Hello, I'm John Neff. I came here in the late 50s. Young boy out of northeast Montana, straight from boot camp and sub school. And I'm looking around, I see a whole lot of other sub-sailors here. I suspect have feelings similar to what I have. We didn't carry a rifle. We didn't shoot at people or get shot at. However, we did barrier patrols in the North Atlantic. We sat on the line during the Cuban crisis. And I think one of our past presidents summed it up very carefully. He said, "Speak softly and carry a big stick." I'm very thankful that we were a part of that big stick.
Well said. Okay.
Hello, my name is Herb Burlett. I'm a graduate of Fitch, class of '64, after which I joined the Air Force, and in 1966 to '67, I was in Vietnam. I went to Benoit, Saigon, Nha Trang, Cam Bay, and finally ended up at Da Nang. The 7 months there, we went through a few rocket attacks, lost a few friends. Tonight I heard names of kids that I went to school with, played football with: Johnny Blunt, DeCillier, Robinson. I'm sorry that they had to pass away for, at that time, was thought to be a senseless war. But we served our time for our country, and I'm proud of it. And I'm proud of the people here who served their time also. Thank you.
Nicely done.
Hello, my name is David Katusha, and I served in the United States Navy for 4 years. And I was on the USS Enterprise, a carrier, and worked on F-4 Phantom jets, and went to Vietnam 3 times. And my dad was in the Navy from World War II up until he passed away in 2018. He was buried in Arlington. And he had 3 brothers, 2 Navy and 1 Korean War. And I don't know, it was tough. When I got out of the Navy, I couldn't find a job. Tried, out in California, then I moved back to Boston. And I got a job at Filene's. And they, but, I'm proud that I served. I could do it again, And we had on the Enterprise, we had a big fire on there in '69. Blew up the carrier. And I was probably the most scared I've been in my life. We also went up to, remember the Pueblo? The North Koreans took that. We had to go up there, and I don't think I was ever so cold in my life. All our planes were leaking fuel because the metal contracted from the cells. And I want to thank everybody for doing this, and God bless America. Thank you.
All right, can we have a round of applause for every one of our veterans that shared? All right, so now I'm hoping that we will have the opportunity to honor each of our veterans individually. And what we'll do is we will call your name, and we're gonna invite our veterans, if you're able to come join us for a photo, and we're gonna have the mayor and our representatives over here. If it is easier for you to receive your pin and citation in your seat, just raise your hand when we call your name, and we'll just go right to you. So with that, we're gonna have John Kelly, who's the czar of all our veteran ceremonies, come and call everyone's names.
There are unfortunately no Korean era veterans here with us tonight, so we'll start by recognizing the Vietnam era veterans, beginning with Michael Allen. Reynaldo Amuan. William Anderson. Noreen Arau. Lionel Banda. Jonathan Bartlett. Henry Beckford. Edward Bergman, Jr. Richard Boguses. Irv Brulette. James Carpenter. Truman Kramer. Carmine Crispino, Jr. Joseph Daner. James Flynn. Robert Folger. Russell Fowler. Theodore Fraze III. Frank Folchero. Arthur Geiger. Vincent Galante. Richard and Savannah Gear.
Okay, all right. So we're going to have the Greers tell us the story of how they met in the service. Gear. Sorry. Apologies. Mr. Gear, would you please tell us?
I joined the United States Air Force in October 1972. I met my future wife, Savannah, who's from Texas. I'm from Connecticut. And we just celebrated our 50th anniversary on May 25th.
Okay. Very nice. Thank you.
I served from 1972 until 1978. I was stationed at Lackland. Maybe you were there at the time. Sergeant Hell and Sergeant Mercer were my TIs. I was thinking you probably did. But it's an honor to be here, and it's a blessing to be amongst all you heroes. Thank you so much.
Thank you both. Good job. Yeah. Don't open yours. You're good. Even though you're coming, we'll get one for you. Don't worry.
Thank you.
James Golub. William Grundy. Miles Hollowell. Joseph Hildreth, Jr. Edward Hill. George Highland, Jr. Arthur Izahara. Arthur Izahara. Oh. Andrew Johnson. Edward Johnson. David Katusha, Jr. Terry Klein. All right. Next is Kenneth Clipon. John Naff. Thomas Colasar. Bruce LaBelle. David La Pietra. John Massioni. Richard Marquardt. Charles McMullen. Jan Miller. James Mitchell. Matthew Morton, Jr. Larry Moxon. Arthur Morano, Jr. Stanley Pafer. Carmine Penza. John Pesky. Gregory Petronak. Darrell Rader. Raymond Rabien. William Reddy. Frank Sikowski III. Gary Schmid. Robert Seeley, Jr. Richard Silva. Stephen Snyder. Dennis Stern. James Streeter. Daniel Tarasevich.
While Mr. Streeter is up here, I would like to let the audience know that he wrote a book, Remembering Our Veterans, a directory of Groton's veterans and war memorials. It can be found at the library, or you could contact Mr. Streeter if you happen to know him and get a book. But he also brought these books, so you could also have one. And Mr. Welch, you could have one. Thank you. And this is a directory of our war and memorials in Groton. Thank you. And I actually have, he has one for you too, Representative Bumgardner. So thank you all.
Leslie Teicher. Paul Tranquida. Kevin Trejo. Robert Welt. John Wilbur. Pamela Winker. Robert Zuliani. Are there any Korean-era veterans from Groton whose name we have not called? Are there any Vietnam-era veterans from Groton whose name we have not called? Wayne Mitzko. Are there any other Vietnam-era veterans whose name we have not called? Larry Lewis. Is there anyone else's whose name has not been called?
All right, so if you snuck in here and you didn't check in, then we don't know you're here, and we never want to leave anybody on the battlefield. So I just want to ask one more time if we have any veterans here that did not tell us when they came in, because we don't want to leave without recognizing all of our veterans. All right, got everybody. A round of applause for our amazing, fabulous veterans. So we are going to ask the honor guard to retire the colors, but before we do that, a couple of housekeeping things. First, hopefully we spelled your name correctly. If we did not, please tell us before we leave and we will make that right. And also, if you would like to see some of the pictures that we took, there is an address on the back of your program. It's the Lieutenant Governor's Flickr page. So you can find all of the photos that we took on there. If you have any trouble, ask your grandkids. They'll help you find it. And let me just say, it was such a great honor to meet you and your families today. We are so grateful for you and this beautiful community. So with that, if you would please rise, and we'll call on the Police Honor Guard to retire the colors. And if we could have a round of applause for the Groton Police Honor Guard. We are so appreciative. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Have a great evening. It's an honor for the governor and I to represent you every day in Hartford.